Barclay, which is the one that most people are interested in, that was around the 1890s, early 1890s that went. And most people think it was actually that people were killed off in a plague and that kind of thing, which is totally false. It's actually not true. They did have epidemics and things up there of smallpox and things that killed many children, but that's not what closed down the town. Once the coal really ran out in the mines to a point where that they couldn't get to it anymore, basically the operation just shut down from that point. The Erie Railroad owned it, and that's who was getting a lot of coal from it, and they just couldn't afford it anymore. So it was time to shut it down. It was just a financial investment for them. So. There was people killed in the mines, and there was a lot of different things. Sometimes people were injured, sometimes people were killed, but you had young kids as young as 11 or 12 years old that worked in the mines as well with their fathers. Sometimes you'd have something going on and the roof would fall or something, and the son would get killed and the father would be left, or the father would get killed and the son would be left, and just sad stuff there. And because the families were so large, had 7 or 8 kids, when that happened, I mean, families were just, that's the only reason they were there, is to make money. And so if the father was killed, they had a tough life from then on. But yeah, it happened all the time. Barclay Mountain began with a man, actually a Quaker guy who was living over in England, buying the property as an investment and really not knowing what he bought. And it wasn't until local people from this area went onto the mountain just looking for what was up there themselves that they accidentally, a guy on a hunting trip, found this coal sticking out of the ground and decided this might be worth something. And so he spread it to his friends, basically, what he found, and people started going up there and just taking it off the mountain themselves. And that's really the beginning of it, and one thing led to another, and companies started from there. But there were actually 5 different towns altogether that made up the whole operation, but Barclay itself was the center of the operation. And Barclay, according to the census, it got up to 3,000 people, but whether that's actually 3,000 actually in the town or whether that's 3,000 people spread out, all over doing different things in the woods and different places and in the mines, we think that's closer to reality there. But Barclay was the main town, and then you had Carbon Run, and you had Fall Creek, and you had Long Valley, and Foot of Plain was another town where all the coal left the mountain through Foot of Plain. So, well, one thing I point out, and when I do programs and stuff on this today, is that what's going on now with natural gas drilling is the same thing that was going on back then. There's been kind of 3 eras in Bradford County. You had the coal mining, you had the lumbering, and now we have natural gas. But it's so similar, and I don't think people really realize it's just the same thing that our ancestors went through, and we're just reliving it with modern technology, really. It's kind of a neat thing.